It seems like as the past month has gone on that the Lions have a higher and higher chance at having a shot at drafting Will Anderson. Looking at the draft order, we know that the Panthers, Texans, and Colts are all going to be taking quarterbacks with their pick in the upcoming draft. This leaves only 2 non-quarterback picks before the Lions' first pick at 6. And with those 2 picks, the Cardinals and the Seahawks, there's still a chance that one of them end up drafting a quarterback. Even the Lions have a chance of drafting a quarterback. However, the chances aren't that high. For Geno Smith, the Seahawks extended his contract to a 3-year, $75 million deal. And the Hawks also still have their backup quarterback, Drew Lock, for another year. Even though there's a chance the Seahawks could take a quarterback, I don't think it'll happen. And for the Cardinals, it doesn't seem like there's a very high chance the Cardinals would actually draft a quarterback. However, there's a big possibility the Cardinals trade their pick and that team takes a quarterback. A team like the Raiders or Titans, who have both met with quarterbacks from the upcoming draft, could potentially jump up and take their guy. And if the Seahawks don't take a quarterback, which I don't think they will, my prediction is that the Seahawks take Jalen Carter, and if Arizona's pick is traded, this leaves the Lions with Will Anderson. Obviously, there's other scenarios that work out where the Lions are able to draft Will Anderson. The Cardinals maybe don't take Jalen Carter or Anderson. They take a different edge rusher, or they take a cornerback like Witherspoon. No matter how it goes down or who takes who, when the Lions' 6th pick in the draft rolls around, at least 2 of these players from this list are going to be available for the Lions to draft. 3 if CJ Stroud hasn't been taken off the board yet. Honestly, I don't think the Lions will take a quarterback in the first round of the upcoming draft. If they did, I just think it would be CJ Stroud. That's why I put CJ Stroud up there on the list. But it just doesn't seem very likely, no matter what quarterback's available when their 6th pick rolls around. If I had to bet on it, I'd bet they wouldn't draft a quarterback in the first round. But with any of these players, I'm going to be happy with whoever the Lions take. I'd prefer Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. However, that might not happen if Arizona and Seattle both pick him up. But with Witherspoon at 6, I'd be extremely happy. With Tyree Wilson, there's been a lot of reports that the Lions really like him. However, that doesn't really mean anything. The Lions could be trying to throw other teams off. It could be a fake report. Who knows? Another popular prospect for the Detroit Lions is Kalijah Kancey, who ran the fastest 40-yard dash by a defensive tackle since 2003. With Kalijah Kancey and Tyree Wilson, a lot of people have said that they don't like the idea of the Lions taking them with their 6th pick, as it'd be too high in the draft. And that makes sense to me. 6 could be too high, and the Lions still might have a chance at one of these players at 18. But at 18, a lot of people want the Lions to take Bijan Robinson. I don't necessarily want the Lions to take him, but I think it'd be a good move. It's going to come down to who Holmes really wants to draft. They really like Tyree Wilson or Kalijah Kancey. They might take them at 6 if they're planning to take someone like Bijan Robinson at 18. The player I want the Lions to draft the most is Devon Witherspoon. Again, with Devon Witherspoon, it's the same thing as Kalijah Kancey and Tyree Wilson. People say that at 6, the Lions should not draft Devon Witherspoon. It'd be way too early in the draft. But I disagree. Witherspoon being drafted at 6 is not too early at all for the Lions to take him in the draft, especially if Brad Holmes wants him. If he wants him and he thinks there's talent there, take him. Especially if Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are off the board, I want the Lions to take Witherspoon at 6. Maybe people are worried about Witherspoon being a bust, as the Lions just traded away their previous 1st round pick, 3rd overall Okudah, to the Falcons for just a 5th round pick. But Okudah was under a totally different coaching staff, totally different team, a totally different system of developing players. No matter who the Lions draft, with the way that they seem to be developing players right now, it looks like the Lions could take any player and totally change them and make them a star. Maybe not a star, but a lot better at the very least. And for the people that say Devon Witherspoon shouldn't be drafted at 6 overall, and that's way too early, they seem to forget that Sauce Gardner was drafted 4th overall just last year. And as we all know, Gardner won Defensive Rookie in the Year and was most likely one of the best, if not the best, defensive back out of everyone last season. He only allowed 1 touchdown, and even has come out and said that touchdown wasn't even his fault. And for Witherspoon, I've said this before. Kirby Joseph, also out of Illinois. Illinois pumps out insane talent for the defensive back position. Everyone saw the plays Kirby Joseph was making last year, stretching out for deflections, picking off Aaron Rodgers time after time. That could be Witherspoon, if not even better. And Kirby Joseph played with Witherspoon in Illinois, meaning there's already built chemistry between them. Bring him back to Detroit and reunite them. And if you've already forgotten or haven't heard this about Witherspoon before, listen to this. He only allowed 1 yard from a press alignment all last season, and the Lions ran the 4th most press snaps on defense last season, meaning Witherspoon should feel right at home right away. And on 425 snaps last season, Witherspoon only allowed 22 receptions for just 200 yards. I really like the idea of drafting Jalen Carter or Will Anderson at 6, but Devon Witherspoon seems just as good at 6, if not better. With Witherspoon, some mock drafts have the Lions taking an edge rusher or Jalen Carter at number 6, and then at number 18, the Lions trade it for the 11th pick in the draft, and then that's where they take Witherspoon. This seems like it could be a good move for the Lions, trading up in the 1st round to get their 2nd player. I don't like the idea of them trading up from 6 because what more are they really going to gain? I feel like the only scenario in which the Lions trade up from their 6th overall pick to get to 3 that makes sense is them trying to secure a quarterback, and I don't like the idea of them trading up to get a quarterback. If the Lions draft a quarterback, I'd want them to draft it with one of their picks and not really have to fight for it, because that's not really what they need right now. But it seems really probable that the Lions do some sort of trading up because they've accumulated such a high capital of draft picks, and moving up their 18th pick in the draft seems like the most sense. But at the same time, I could see it going the other way as well. The Lions, instead of trying to use their draft capital to get higher picks, instead just have a high draft capital and draft a lot of players. When GMs and organizations draft players, sometimes there's just going to be a bust. No matter how many times you met with the player, how much scouting your team did, how well of a fit it seems like it's for your team. Now, teams can take measures to try to decrease the chances of drafting a bust, not drafting certain players in certain rounds, but it just happens sometimes. Not every 1st round pick this upcoming draft is going to meet their expectations. Not every pick is going to exceed. Some of them are going to fail. As we know, there's busts, there's also steals in the draft. It's a later round, you draft a player and he ends up being a star, and if everyone knew his potential and his ceiling coming into the draft, they would have drafted him in the 1st round. And we've already seen Brad Holmes do that multiple times in just his short career as GM so far. This makes me think that maybe Brad Holmes' strategy is to get as many picks as he can in the draft, take as many players in the late round which he think have a lot of potential and a lot of talent, as he seems to be good at finding those hidden talents later in the draft. And out of all those picks in the later rounds, one of them eventually is going to end up exceeding expectations, play really good football, and everyone's going to look back and go, wow, that was a steal. The draft is somewhat like a lottery. You don't always know how a player is going to perform in the NFL and on your team. There's things that can help you make those decisions, but they're not always 100% accurate. And the more picks you have, the more likely you are to score, having a pick and have a really good player, a star player, Hall of Famer player, whatever. Maybe Holmes' strategy is along the lines of draft as many players as you can that you think are really talented, and at least a few of them are gonna be potential stars. And Holmes has showed us he's phenomenal at finding that underrated talent and taking it. And the Lions have a great way of building up and developing players right now. They have a really strong locker room, a really motivating coach. With that, and Brad Holmes' sixth sense at sniffing out these stars that go undrafted or later rounds, out of all the picks Brad Holmes is about to make, some of them are bound just to be potential stars. Going back to this list here, Jalen Carter and Will Anderson. The chances of one of them falling in Detroit's lap at pick number 6 overall seems to have risen since the beginning of all the mock drafts. But it definitely doesn't seem like a certain thing that one of them is going to be available for Detroit with their 6th pick. That's why I think Devon Witherspoon at 6 is the most likely result of what's going to happen, and he's the player that I really want the Lions to take. In the end, I honestly don't really care who the Lions end up taking in the draft. I'm just really excited to see who our new players are. I do have a small preference of Devon Witherspoon and kind of Bijan Robinson, but at the same time, Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, Tyree Wilson, Kalijah Cansey, all these other players sound amazing. I'm just excited to see who the Lions pick. So let me know, who do you want the Lions to draft? Who do you think the Lions will draft? Do you think Jalen Carter, Will Anderson will fall to 6 for the Lions? Do you think the Lions would take one of them if they did fall to 6? Comment below what you think, and that is going to be the end of this video. If you guys enjoy my content, I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot, and once again, thanks for watching.